Hello everyone, and welcome back to another cozy art video. Today I'll be showing you the steps I take and the products I use to customize shoes. I don't know why I said shoes like that. But anyways, today we're working with a pair of Nike Blazers. They are brand new out of the box, crisp and clean. The best shoes to customize are brand new shoes. They're just easier to work with and you'll have a better time customizing your shoes. The most anxious part of customizing shoes for me is taking off the laces, because that marks the beginning of a customizing journey, and you have a blank new canvas to work with, and that can be overwhelming sometimes. And since these are for a customer, I need to produce exactly what they envision for these blazers. After the laces are off, I use a pair of shoe trees to help keep the form of the shoes. That way the shoes don't sag or bend and provides an easier surface for me to paint on. Next, I bring up the mock-up that I made while talking with the client so I know my exact direction for these blazers. I'm using Angelus Paint Duller to help dull the paint, make it look more realistic, and I have the deglazer to help prep the shoe. We have Angelus Light Blue and Angelus White to make the light blue for the Nike sign, and we have the champagne color that we're going to use for the character, and I'm using an Angelus brush. Now it's time to start mixing colors. I need a lighter blue, so I'm using a lot of white and only a few drops of the light blue to achieve that baby blue look. If you've ever worked with Angelus Duller before, you know a little goes a long way. Just a couple drops is needed to achieve that factory look for your paint. And my gimbal just died. Mix, mix, mix. All done. I decided to bring out some Angelus Too Soft to help soften the paint because the Nike sign is I completely missed my paint. Anyways, because the Nike sign has a suede texture to it, it's very light. I don't normally paint suede, I don't recommend it, you'd have to dye it. But it's not like Vans, it's very light, so this Too Soft should be perfect to help keep the paint on the suede. And here's how the Nike sign looks with the first coat on. It's not gonna look pretty right away. It's gonna need a couple coats to get that solid look. Especially with this suede, it took a couple extra coats. Usually with leather, it takes 3 to 4 coats. But with the suede, it took about 7 coats. You wanna make sure you're going in light, not too heavy. And when you use Angelus Too Soft, you wanna use a heat gun to help it set. Here I'm at the 7th coat, and it looks nice and solid. I printed out a stencil to get that Nike sign on the back blue as well, and I'm using some deglazer and a cotton ball to clean it up. Usually it takes about 10 minutes for each coat to dry, so I'm using this time to be super productive and answer back my girlfriend, who is probably wondering what the heck I'm doing, but just letting her know that I'm making these awesome shoes. Here's a tip that I don't really hear a lot in the customizing community, but always paint your edges. It makes everything just look so much more factory made. It's a tip I got from De Jesus Customs. That's a channel I learned everything. If you're ever interested in customizing shoes, he could teach you all you need to know about customizing shoes. I highly recommend it. Now I'm just getting the stencil prep for the character that we're gonna put on the bottom heel of the shoe. Always remember to prep your surface. You want to take off that factory glaze that they put on so that the paint can bond with the leather. Believe it or not, the leather is not that great for these Nike shoes, and that finish that they put on the shoes will only make your paint come off in only a few weeks time. You want it to last as long as possible. Now I'm just using a heat gun to get the stencil to stick to the shoe, and I used a piece of transfer tape just so I can get the placements right and everything. The heat gun helps the stencil kind of expand and makes it easier to place on the shoe. When using a stencil, the first thing you want to do is put down the base color. So the shoe is white, so I'm starting with the white base because that's going to keep the beige from spreading. And it makes a huge difference than if you just go straight on with the beige. The beige is more prone to bleeding through the stencil, so that white is going to keep it where it needs to be. So after about 3 to 4 coats, it's time to take off the stencil. Whenever you use a stencil, I recommend letting it dry for longer periods of time, a lot longer than like 10 minutes. I'd say about 20 to 25 minutes, so that your colors can stay on the shoe, because it could happen where you peel the stencil off and then next thing you know, your color starts coming off with the stencil, and it's just an unfortunate thing to happen. So just to take that precaution, let it dry for a little longer, and you won't run into that issue. Now for some satisfying stencil removing, it's always like the best part to remove tape or a stencil and reveal your final product. So now the character is on both shoes, and that's pretty much it. That's what the client wanted, and I achieved what I made in my mock-up. And as I said in the beginning, taking off the laces is the most anxious part of a project for me, but putting the laces on is the most relaxing and enjoyable part of customizing a shoe. I found these beige laces that I was keeping, that I had from a past project, and I thought that they looked really well with this project, so I decided to add them in there. And here's some cool time lapse of me putting the laces on, make sure everything is nice and neat. I have a system to it, and yeah, it was really fun doing this project. I learned that the character I did is called Cinnamon. I had never heard of Cinnamon before, but I think it's really cute, and I think they came out great. Note to future self: please keep the project in frame. I'm sorry for that out of frame lacing, but now I have the original laces. I'm putting them in the packaging that I got from the new laces, and here's just the process that I do for putting together a finished pair and packing it all up for the client. I add my little tag for my Instagram tag. I'm not much of a tagger, but I keep it nice and simple and legible, hopefully. And at Next Level Sneakers, you can find me on Instagram and all of my previous projects that I've done. And here's the most satisfying part: right next to lacing up the shoes is putting them in the box, because that means they are dunezos. The paint is done. I sprayed the protective coating on them, add a few stickers, write a little thank you note, show my appreciation to the customer, and pack it all up, close the box. Cue final shots of the Cinnamon Blazers. I wanted to end this video outside, not in my room, and take you on a morning walk with me to catch this beautiful sunrise. Have my Crocs on, and I just wanted to say I really enjoy making these videos, and I hope you learned a thing or two, or just enjoy your time here. One life tip I can leave you with is to remember to appreciate the journey. There will always be another goal to set or to achieve, but there's only going to be one journey to get there. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.